If you constantly find yourself playing it safe and thinking, I could never do that, maybe it's time to ask yourself, what if I could? You're listening to This Woman Can. I'm your host, Janice Sutherland, where I help mature professional Black women take charge of their careers and lives to create a future on their terms. Hey everyone, and welcome, and thank you for joining me on another episode of This Woman Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, Career and Life Strategist for the mature Black woman. Now, this week is quite an interesting episode. It definitely is to me, because in my previous episode with Camille Steer, where we were talking about pensions and investments and stuff like that, if you haven't listened to it, head back over to the episode before this to have a listen. We touched on women being risk averse. And in this context, it was when we were looking at investments and pensions. But the one thing I realized is that our risk aversion often goes a lot deeper than we realize and impacts us on other fronts. When we often find ourselves navigating the complex intersection of societal expectations and cultural norms and even our own personal aspirations, we may find ourselves trying to avoid uncertainty or what we perceive as being negative outcomes. And while this instinct, the need to protect ourselves can be protective, it can actually also hinder our personal growth and limit our opportunities, especially in a day and age or an environment where we need to be open to new experiences because the world is changing so quickly. There are a lot of things we've never considered before, and we need to be far more open to that. So, in this episode, I want to explore why we or mature Black women might be risk adverse, but more importantly, the rewards that can come if we're prepared to take calculated risks. So let me kick off with why do we become risk adverse? Well, we become risk averse, and I'm going to say it deliberately because we don't start off being that when we're children, because those of us who have had children or no children, we often stop children from doing things that may cause them harm, like they have no idea what risk, of what safety or risk is, because they'll gladly put their hand in the fire or poke that metal object into the electrical socket, and we stop them. They don't know what fear is, and so they don't have an aversion to risk per se. But as we get older, as we mature, that actually develops in us. And there may be several reasons or several factors that contribute to that in our midlife. The first I want to kick off with is cultural and societal expectations, because we may be conditioned to prioritize stability and security, often at the expense of risk taking. And where we see this a lot, we may have experienced it for a lot of us. It could have played out in our career choices, or should I say, the expectations of our parents, because many of us were steered toward careers and jobs that would provide a safe, a steady income. One where the assumption was that if we worked twice as hard as our white counterparts, we put the effort in, we'd be recognized, and we'd eventually be rewarded with promotion and all the trappings that come with the prestigious title. But the reality of that, as we've probably found out, a lot of us have found out, is that the experience of those of us before and the ongoing systemic racism and discrimination that we face being Black in a white space can often lead to heightened sense of caution. So we are a little bit more cautious when we're in these situations. And these experiences teach us to be wary of relying on external systems or institutions. Then there's good old fear of failure. There's the fear of disappointing ourselves or disappointing others. What if it all goes wrong? That can all make us hesitant to step outside of our comfort zones. What would people think if we gave up our proverbial good job to do something that actually makes us happy? Doesn't make any sense to them, but it would to us. But we worry about that. Then there's lack of support. Now, I'm not just talking about lack of limited access to resources, mentorship, or financial support, but I'm talking about seeing someone who actually looks like us, who has successfully pursued what we perceived as a risky endeavor. And that can actually make us doubt whether it's, that it's actually possible. And this is why I was recently happy to see so many black and brown women in the recent Forbes 50 over 50 release, because we saw representation in 4 categories across lifestyle, impact, innovation, investment. Women like Bethan Hardison, who was one of the first black supermodels in the 70s, who went on to form her own modelling agency, launching the careers of Naomi Campbell and Tyson Beckford, then forming the Black Girls Coalition with Iman, but in 2023, only last year, co-directed the film Invisible Beauty, which explored her life and career as a model and activist in the 80s. You've got Missy Elliott, who in her 50s is headlining a first ever solo tour. You've got Dawn Staley, who became one of the highest paid coaches in women's basketball, college basketball, when she negotiated a $22.4 million contract extension. And there's a lot more. There's innovators such as Carlotta Berry, who's a robotics expert and who founded Noir STEMinist to promote diversity in STEM. So if you haven't looked at the Forbes 50 over 50 article, go and do so. Actually, I'll leave a link in the show notes for you to click into. But the one thing we do know with all these women, and there's lots of them, and it's great to see it, we already know that to achieve what they have would have been particularly challenging them. So seeing them succeed lets us know that it's possible even when it seems impossible. Let me just add my experience, because on a personal note, I've faced my own share of risk aversion throughout my own life. Starting out my career, I was hesitant to ask for raises, salary increases or promotions, because I thought I might be a bit demanding, even though I knew I was good. And eventually, though, I realised that I deserved to be compensated fairly for my work and asked for my worth. And if there were those companies that didn't see my value, because it happened, they just couldn't see what I brought to the table, I found organisations who did, and I wasn't scared to do that because I knew what I brought to the table and I believed in myself. Later in my 40s, I left my birth country, the UK, to move to the Caribbean with my husband, leaving all my family behind, my kids even, who are grown, eventually becoming the first female CEO in the telecoms industry in my adopted country, and went on to leave it in my 50s to start my own business, This Woman Can. Was it terrifying? Hell yeah. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I now have a life and career I thoroughly enjoy, even with the initial trepidation and self doubt I felt, and that struggle was real. So, why did and more importantly, why should you be taking risks at this stage of our lives? That is really easy. The answer to that is really, really easy. It's for the reward. Because overcoming your fear of risk, overcoming risk aversion, can open up a whole world of possibilities that you never really thought was possible and lead to significant rewards, because it's all about the reward. We're going to do this for a reason, whatever that reason is. There's your personal growth. Stepping outside of the comfort zones can help us discover new talents, passions, and strengths. I, for one, never knew I could write. I've written a book. I have this podcast. I have creativity levels I never knew was possible. It can also foster resilience and adaptability in the face of challenges. As I said, entrepreneurship isn't for the faint of heart, but it's definitely made me more resilient in what I'm doing. There's increased confidence. Successfully taking risks can boost our self-esteem and belief in our abilities, which in turn can lead to a more positive and empowered mindset. There's much greater fulfillment. Pursuing our dreams, our goals can lead to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. It can also help us connect to our authentic selves and live in alignment with our values, which I am a huge advocate for. Then there's financial opportunities. Taking those calculated risks can open doors to new career paths, maybe business adventures you haven't thought about before, or investment opportunities, which in turn can lead to increased financial security and independence. So those are the rewards. And I can appreciate that I may be making it sound easy. And if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it. And admittedly, it may not be for everyone, but if you never ever try it, if you never push yourself outside the comfort zone, you never know what could be. So let me give you a few tips if you're struggling with risk, if that risk aversion gene is strong. Let me give you some tips to help you overcome it. Baby steps. Always baby steps. Set small, achievable goals. Start by taking those little steps outside of your comfort zone. This can help you build your confidence and reduce your fear of failure. For example, if you don't like public speaking or afraid of public speaking, start by joining a local Toastmasters group or volunteering to speak at a small event. Seek support. Surround yourself with positive and supportive people who will encourage you to take risks. It could be friends, it could be family members, it could be support groups, just someone who's willing to give you that little extra push and that little extra support when you feel a little bit of a wobble. Visualize success. Imagine yourself achieving your goals and overcoming your fears. This can actually help boost your motivation, trust me, and reduce anxiety. Create a vision board or write personal affirmations to help you stay focused on your goals. Learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to make them. We're all going to make them. That's all part of the journey. Everyone fails. It's a part of life. The important thing is to learn from them and keep moving forward. You want to see them as opportunities for growth and learning. And lastly, take it easy on yourself. Practice self-compassion. We are our own worst critic. We see things that nobody else can actually see or even visualize. So be kind to yourself and avoid self-criticism. It is okay to feel scared or uncertain. The important thing is to take action and to keep moving forward. The important thing is to try, is to do something different. Yeah? So those are my few tips. Let me just finish off by saying overcoming our aversion to risk does take time, patience, and perseverance. And if you listen back to that podcast episode I talked about, or even the one before that, where I was speaking with Marcia Armstrong, I still have some aversions when it comes to money, but I'm aware of them. And I also have a methodology of overcoming my aversion or talking myself out of it when my initial thought is, don't do that. That's all because of what's happened in the past. But I know that if I overcome that, if I challenge myself and push myself out of that comfort zone, out of that self-doubt, the rewards can be life-changing, can make a huge difference. So what I'm saying to you is, by stepping outside of your comfort zone, embracing that new challenge or bracing new challenges, you'll open the opportunity to unlock your full potential and create a more fulfilling and meaningful life. And as I said, if you don't know, if you don't try, you don't know what could be. So what are you waiting for? Take this as a sign that you've got this, and just do one thing you would never have thought of doing before that will push you forward. Because remember, if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time. Thanks for listening. If you got something from this week's episode, please let me know. Better yet, share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone you know who can benefit from this message. Don't forget to subscribe or write a review and connect with me at my website, janicesutherland.com, where you can also subscribe to the This Woman Can newsletter or connect with me on LinkedIn. Remember, you have the wisdom, resilience, authenticity, and power to create a life on your terms. And if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time.